In the 21st century, it is quite common for spiritual seekers and adherents of self-help psychology to talk passionately about their life being a journey. Even Brandon Bayes, a spiritual teacher and healer, has developed a personal transformation process called The Journey. And I have read her book, and there are these visualization exercises to do towards the end. And it's a way of peeling off the different layers of the psyche to get beyond the wounds that we have. Because at the very core is what you might call like our original self, our pure self, our beautiful self. And the ego and the rubbish of the world around us tend to cake it up, like putting dust over your light bulb. The light is there, it's beautiful and glorious, but the dust has hidden the radiance. So Brandon Bay's journey process is one strategy. And her particular point of view is that we can do a lot of affirmations, but if we find that they don't work, it might mean that there is something so deep down in the subconscious that we really need some process like hers, perhaps, or someone else's to get to the very core, or else we're just constantly going round in circles. So I might ask, what is this journey really? Are there any guidelines to navigating this journey in a meaningful and empowering way? Do we simply drift along in the proverbial dark and hope for the best? When I did some community welfare studies, I had a TAFE tutor. He was teaching us about drug and alcohol issues, and he could not stand this term journey. Every time someone say, oh, you know, or some speak would say, oh, they're on a journey, like if it was mental illness, it could be, they're on a journey, but we're seeing it from a medical perspective. And he said, I can't handle this term journey. So I'm just wondering whether there was something pushing his buttons, that maybe he doesn't want to see that there is some sort of a flow, some sort of a rhythm to the universe, and that it's not just all random events that just happen to us along the way. It goes without saying that this journey is essentially a spiritual one, involving psychological as well as the physical. In other words, human beings are ultimately spirits having an earthly experience. We've probably heard of that Eastern concept of Maya or illusion. Our solid physical reality is but a dream state or a parlour trick when contrasted against the ultimate reality of oneness in spirit. The Gnostics, if you know anything about early Christianity, the Gnostics were not a unified group. They had many different strands of thought, and most of what we do know about their thinking is from their critics, who were probably like the mainstream Christians of the time. But the Gnostics had this, well, some of them did, had this belief that the physical world was made by an evil deity, like not the true, beyond it all type creator, but sort of one of the cronies that went on the rampage and thought, I'll imprison spirits in a physical realm, like on a planet in a physical body. So this idea of Maya, I think the Eastern view is not that Maya is something sinister like some of the Gnostics thought, but it's just a state that might be necessary while we are learning to apply our inner wisdom in this very difficult testing ground. I mean, the everyday world is where your spirituality is truly tested. There's probably no other way for us to truly appreciate our inner strength without being in this situation. It's also like, sometimes I think of this reality as one of those Nintendo games where you do certain things, and when you've failed that level, you don't go to the next level, and then you can just hit the reset button and start the whole thing again, sort of like going from life to life to life. So that's not the sort of thing I would share like with your counsellor. If you say, I feel like I'm stuck in the matrix, they might think it's some form of mental illness. But I think in some regards it's a realistic perspective, although it's hard to share with a lot of people. In order to have a vibrant spiritual growth, many alternative teachers and healers will also recommend the crucial importance of psychological and physical well-being. Now, we all know if we have like a car accident or a physical disease, pain tends to distort character. And to some degree, although we say, you know, just use your mind and your spirituality to overcome it, there's some truth that physical ailments or like financial constraints can impinge on you living out from that inner abundance. So, I mean, part of our spiritual journey is to look after the physical and the psychological. They're all part of the package deal. If our mental or emotional health and bodily fitness are severely compromised, it is exceedingly difficult to ground our spirituality on the earth plane. A valuable point to remember about psychological growth concerns the role of the much maligned ego. There are Westerners who have misunderstood some Eastern psychological views to mean the call for the annihilation or negation of the ego. One interpretation within Buddhist psychotherapy states that it's the function of the ego that needs to be transformed rather than the existence of the ego. You don't kill the ego, you just get it to work in alignment with your higher values. I mean, honestly, if you didn't have an ego, what would stop you from just walking out in front of the next bus in George Street and say, it's okay, I'm spirit, if I get hit, I'll just get recycled, go back to the life force or whatever and come back again. But it's the ego that helps you to navigate in a physical environment so that you can exist and survive long enough to learn things and also to be of healing assistance to other people. So I think especially for Westerners we do need an ego. Maybe there are Eastern people, maybe they say that their chakras are a little bit different to Western people. I don't know if that's true. But I feel that we need an ego as part of the cake mix, but it's what you do with the ego. We can encourage the ego to be a servant rather than dictator to our lives. So in other words, the ego simply needs to become like a handmaiden to our higher spiritual centre so we can effectively participate psychologically in this spiritual journey on earth. So as I was saying before, a lot of the literature and research that I've looked at seems to fit into three categories. I know some people, when you describe yourself as a metaphysical consultant or anything like that, a lot of mainstream people say, what the hell is metaphysical? If you studied philosophy, metaphysics is one branch of philosophy, and it's to do with how we deal with reality, how we categorise things in reality. But where the term came from was, I believe it was from Aristotle's works. He did a book on the material realm, on what they understood as physics back in those days. And what he wrote after that was more of a spiritual treatise, which came after the book on physics. So it's called like metaphysics, after or beyond the works he did on physics, and somehow that's how we got the term. The archetypal view focuses on primal, timeless patterns in our human consciousness, which are relevant to all times and all cultures. The two main ones that I think everyone's heard of or actually lived out is the hero and the victim. They're two classics that are found in our dreams and unconsciously adopted in our roles as characters. The metaphysical approach covers esoteric wisdom, philosophy, and mystical divination. Examples: tarot cards, numerology, the Kabbalah, astrology. There's some of the examples. Isn't the spiritual life really a set of paradoxes? You hear all these beautiful thoughts and you think, yeah, that's true. And then you hear the opposite, so yeah, that's true too in some regards. So it must be that we are challenged to find the middle path perhaps, where the two come together.